Mummy's boy. No two words could better describe Bobby. At 32 years old, he clung to his mother like an overgrown infant, his bald and homely head doing nothing to appease the amusing similarity. Cursed with a prematurely wrinkled, leathery face and followed by a natural aroma strongly resembling that of curdled milk, he never really stood a chance out in the real world. Every person Bobby ever met would turn their noses up at him, and everyone except his mother, of course. Maybe then, the heavy bags beneath those bug-like eyes of his indicated something other than fatigue. Depression was a definite possibility as far as I, or more importantly, any outsider could tell. From my extensive observations, I'd come to know Bobby's daily routine like the back of my hand. Most days he'd wake shortly after 11 a.m. and waddle down to the dining room, where his loving mother would surely have a piping hot breakfast prepared for him. After shoveling it down like a rabid pig, he'd retreat back to his room and spend the remainder of the day at his desk, staring gormlessly at a computer screen with a giant headset jammed over his misshapen ears. Bobby didn't have a job. To my knowledge, he hadn't worked a day in his entire miserable life. He was nothing but a stain, a pathetic leech on society. Just the idea of him sickened me. My mind was made. I extracted a cheap pay-as-you-go mobile from a trouser pocket and sent out a hasty one-word text. Deal. Shortly after, the phone buzzed with a response. Thank you for doing this. As agreed, half the payment has been transferred to the account you specified. You'll have the rest when the job is done. After ensuring that the $10,000 payment had indeed gone through, I sent one final message. It happens tonight. Later that evening, a short while after Bobby's mother had left for fitness class, I found myself standing mere feet from his shadowy figure silhouetted against the glowing monitors, a length of rope drawn taut between my gloved hands. I advanced slowly and quietly, creeping closer until he was within arm's reach. But, my God, that stench of his. I suffered defeat at the hands of a brief internal struggle and ended up gagging loudly, cursing as I did so. Bobby's head snapped back to face me, brow furrowed in confusion. Oh, hey, Dad. His yellowed, bloodshot eyes wandered down to the rope I held tightly in my grasp. What are you doing with that? Without missing a beat, I quickly tossed the rope over his sweaty, doughy neck, crossed the two ends and pulled them in opposite directions, ignoring my son's choked cries and the putrid smell that flooded my nostrils. He soiled himself before he died. Of course he did. Even at the very end, he somehow managed to find new ways to disappoint me. When the deed was done, I set about stringing Bobby's corpse from the sturdy light fitting. I made certain before leaving the scene that foul play would not be suspected, though it was probably a wasted effort. Nobody would look too deep into this, I was certain of it. My wife's reaction upon discovering the body was a predictable one. She was a sobbing, inconsolable mess for days. I pretended to care as she wept into my shoulder, but my mind was busy wondering whether or not a 7-foot pool table would fit inside Bobby's newly vacated room. Something did bug me though. It didn't really matter, of course, but I had to wonder who would call the hit on Bobby in the first place. The guy never left the house, so who in their right mind would pay so much money to be rid of him? Was it simply random? Surely not. Maybe an online acquaintance of his. I doubted that too. On a hunch, I decided to check my wife and I's shared account for any recent transactions. I was stunned to find that two $10,000 payments had been made within a day of each other. I swelled with pride at the thought of it. Bobby's loving mother, my beautiful wife, was one hell of an actress.